Over 600 million of us use a paid-for music subscription.
My feed is flooded with, this is how you trick Spotify.
But is some of that money ending up in the hands of fraudsters?
I was so surprised by the scale.
Streaming has transformed the music business and now makes up more than 2/3 of the music industry's global revenue. But in a first-of-its-kind case, one man in the US has been charged with streaming fraud.
Accused of using AI to create and stream music and illegally collect more than $10 million in royalties.
Mike Smith seemed to have made it as an artist. Over 200,000 followers on social media. But now he's facing up to 60 years behind bars if convicted. He's pleaded not guilty to all the charges. Well, Mike Smith has been accused of using artificial intelligence to generate hundreds of thousands of songs and then use bots. These are computer programs that can perform tasks repeatedly and automatically to listen to these songs billions of times, generating royalties for himself.
When I saw his mugshot, it was like my screensaver for like 2 months.
This is Jonathan Hay, a music publicist who's worked with some impressive names over the years.
Whitney Houston, Twista, Kanye West's label, Eminem's label.
Now, Jonathan started working with Mike from around 2012 onwards. He said that Mike had ambitions of becoming an artist and producer himself. So how did that relationship go?
He wanted us to be producers, Smith and Hay. Mike suggested that we pay rappers, so he spent, a couple $100,000 on getting us rap features. And everything with him was like 100%, legit.
But eventually, in 2018, Jonathan sensed something sinister might be at play. Jazz singles that would chart one week as #1 would suddenly disappear the next.
Some of the jazz people that I've known were like, that doesn't happen like that. It just went from 1 to 0. I'm like, Mike, what's going on? He was like, I don't know, we lost like our radio. He always had an excuse. And then he did this Christian song, right? That's called Beautiful Day. And we were getting streams in like Vietnam and Pakistan, and it's like, okay, what? Then all of a sudden, all of our music started coming down, and I would get messages from TuneCore. Your music is taken down because of streaming fraud. Then DistroKid shut us down, streaming fraud. Lander shut us down, streaming fraud.
Jonathan's shown me emails where he unsuccessfully tried to argue his case with the distribution companies, which are services that help artists get music uploaded onto streaming sites. He told me that at this point, he got the authorities involved.
So I met with the FBI agent in Louisville, Kentucky. He was like, yeah, this is definitely something that we would be interested in. That's when Mike and I broke it off.
It's been alleged that Mike's scheme ended up being much larger than what Jonathan suspected. In an email obtained by the FBI from February 2024, Mike is alleged to have boasted his activity generated $12 million in royalties since 2019. I wanted to speak to Mike Smith to hear his side of the story, but he didn't respond to my request for an interview. He's not without his supporters, though. Some people online are calling him Robin Hood, saying that what he did was good because streaming services take advantage of artists.
Mike Smith is a decent, good guy.
This is Goldilocks, a businesswoman, professional wrestler, and a music artist.
I'm not saying that Mike Smith is Jesus Christ. I'm just saying throughout the world and throughout history, it appears as a human race, there's always somebody that's being used as an example. My feed is flooded with, this is how you trick Spotify into spinning your song more so that you can get more revenue.
Using bots, do you think it should be illegal? Or
no,
do you think,
shouldn't be illegal.
Do you think that is fraud?
No, what are you gonna, it's here, it's already here, it's not going anywhere. You might as well figure out a way to use it for your benefit.
Many artists like Goldie are unhappy with how little they're paid for streams, but that doesn't change the fact that Mike Smith stands accused of orchestrating a multi-million-dollar fraud and stealing from the royalty pool his fellow artists receive payments from. So how big of a problem is streaming fraud?
I would call the Mike Smith case kindergarten fraud.
This is Andrew Beatty, CEO of BeatDap, a startup that aims to detect fraud on streaming platforms.
A lot of the professional scammers, they don't want to chart. They don't want to be a famous artist. What they want to do is load millions of songs onto different streaming services and then slowly play each song. So no one notices the song that only has 1,000 plays. No one cares about that song. But if you have enough of those songs generating 1,000 plays, you can make a lot of money. I do not believe the DOJ and the FBI have any illusions that $10 million is like the top of the food chain. I think what the Mike Smith case does is allow them to find someone who they have full jurisdictional control over in the United States to set the precedent they need to go after these more sophisticated, difficult investigations.
So what now? Mike has been charged with wire fraud conspiracy, and money laundering conspiracy. These are all federal crimes which each carry a maximum sentence of 20 years behind bars. He's pled not guilty to all charges. We contacted his lawyers about the accusations in this piece, and this is what they told us.
The indictment is an accusation, and he has not pled guilty to any of the charges. Much of the conduct the indictment alleges, as many articles have reported, has been widespread in the music industry for years. Yet, this alleged conduct has never been criminally prosecuted under these statutes before. This is a unique case, and Mr. Smith looks forward to addressing these novel charges in court.
But Jonathan is feeling positive about how the case may make waves in the music business.
I think it's wonderful. We finally have some rules for the first time in music history.
Look around the table. In 5 years, we're all going to hate each other. But we'll be rich.
Hi, I'm Luke Miller. I'm visual effects supervisor on the movie Better Man. Better Man is a musical biopic about the life of Robbie Williams. Only in this film, director Michael Gracie made the bold decision to represent Robbie throughout the entire film as a digital chimp, which is a reflection of how he sees himself. We're working on almost every single shot in the film, turning actor Jono Davies into digital Robbie. We had to essentially shoot it like a regular film. Jono was there every single day, formed every single scene, in situ amongst all the other actors, and we would just capture the data while it sort of played out. And I think that is one of the big things which really aids the convincingness of the performances, because it all took place there and then. Robbie is represented as a chimp in the film, but all of his interactions, clothes he wears, the hairstyles he has, level of emotion, everything is human. So we had to strike this really good, realistic balance so that when you end up watching a scene or watching the film, the digital makeup essentially just falls away and you just get engrossed in that character. One thing that we did do was there's so much connection and emotion that just happens between the characters and their eyes. We did go 100% human in the design of the eyes. We scanned real Robbie and we replicated the look of his eyes and brows and eyebrows on the digital character, and then lent into the chimp for the other areas of the face. The costumes, the hairstyles and tattoos that you see Robbie wearing in the film are all digitally created as well. You know, Robbie's not actually human shaped. He's got sort of human-esque proportions, let's say, but under his clothes he still is quite chimp-like. Just to get sort of consistency of the character and sort of to completely control all of those ape-clothed proportions, let's say, it made sense to do the whole character digitally. The costume department that we work with did provide us with real versions of every single costume you see Robbie wearing in the film, and we scanned every single one. We took detailed photography so that we could replicate them.
I got, you got, we got everybody. I got the gift, gonna stick it in the gold.
So the Regent Street sequence, we did look at doing it as a set build, but we couldn't find somewhere physically large enough to actually build the amount of space that we would need to travel. The decision was made to actually shoot for real on Regent Street, and so we flew over to the UK. We had a week's worth of rehearsals just on a soundstage, Regent Street essentially taped out on the floor. I mean, there was a few things, we had to do some digital enhancements. There were some shots that we were able to control and dress, but a lot of other stores on there that were literally opening their doors for business the next morning, so they didn't want us to mess with their window displays. So there's a couple of shots we had to replace, and a lot of the traffic ended up being put in there digitally just because of dancers that are on the street. We shot consecutively over 4 nights, and we had to shoot it in order so that we could join the next night's work to the previous night's work to make sure that everything would line up. And we also had to be completely out of there by 5:30 a.m. I think it was, and that was gone off the street. No cranes, no equipment, nothing, because if we were there then they weren't going to let us shoot the following night. So you can't end up with half a sequence. It's all or nothing.
So, the story starts. I'm